Christmas mood, with the Christmas spirit of hope, giving, celebration, and all of that. And I'm hoping I can, infect you with that. But sorry to bust your bubble this morning. Let's get into the news.
The realities, right?
Right there. Well, this is part of reality. Christmas is part of reality. But we had the protests by the Nigeria Labour Congress yesterday. So I think the silence from NLC was like a tactic. We're going to protest. So we're not going to say we are not or we will, just take it as it comes. So yes, the NLC led that peaceful protest yesterday against insecurity. In spite of the meeting which they had with the president, I think it's good to see, at least for a lot of people who had been wondering, does the NLC have bite? This meeting that they had with the president again, will it stop the strike and all of that? So the NLC protested, and I think this is what we should encourage in democracy: peaceful protests. Let people air their voices. The NLC president had said that a lot of the people killed and kidnapped are workers, right? So, I mean, they can't play the ostrich. It is affecting them. So the workers protested yesterday against insecurity, and it is good to see, I must say. It was peaceful. Their message was heard. Okay, well, they put out their message. I don't want to speak for the other side. I don't know if they heard it, but at least the message is out there that the government needs to protect the citizens. We can link this to the visa ban by America, and the reason that was given by the American president talked about how terrorists operate, in some parts of the country with almost like freely as they want to. So insecurity is also another reason that we've been added to that list. So it is clear that this is an issue that must be resolved. So I must commend the NLC. We also had Omoyele Sowore, the presidential candidate of AAC, also joining them. So it's good to see the NLC protesting for other things besides wages, which is equally important.
Absolutely, I commend them, but I still maintain the position I had yesterday in terms of the impacts they have on citizens as it used to be before. So let them continue to rebuild as NLC. Before now, whenever you hear anything that has to do with NLC hitting the street, the entire nation is agitated, everybody is concerned because they know it's going to be a showdown. But in the last few years, we haven't seen the NLC be the NLC that we used to know. Maybe there are compromises, there are leanings, we don't have as many comrades as possible. We don't know. It could be right, it could be wrong, but at the end of the day, I think the general perception of today's NLC compared to yesterday's NLC are entirely different. But it's a good cause, like we said yesterday, in terms of coming out to say beyond wage that we always stand against in terms of increases or being able to go home with what they call the living wage when people are being killed. We always set out to peacefully make our voices heard, and we hope something will come out of all of this and not just coming out on the streets. So I don't know, when you say you're protesting again, what are you going to see that will make you not to hit the streets again? Those are the kinds of milestones or timelines we want to hear from the NLC. So now they've hit the street, and what next? So if they don't see action, are they going to do something a little bit more serious than just protesting? What exactly is it going to be? Because all hands must be on deck. Nigeria is in a very difficult time. As you said, the visa restriction, we've been included in that list as well. So whoever can help to make the country better, whoever can help to make the government hear us a bit clearer and better, because sometimes when they stay in their offices and being guarded by our security, sometimes they are aloof to what citizens are going through. So when you say A, they are hearing B. And sometimes they also claim that, oh, we know what you're going through. Not necessarily all the time, because your realities are not the same with the people. So just as we maintain, we must, as a people, ensure that it has to be where we push to ensure that our people stop being killed arbitrarily.
Well, guys, I'm going to be very miserly in my commendation. I doubt that I have any, despite the fact that this protest has gone ahead, for two reasons. One, I can't seem to shake off of my mind the body language and countenance of key officials that addressed the press yesterday after that privileged meeting with President Bola Tinubu, where the NLC president also addressed pressmen and talked about, weighing the consideration of Mr. President and then deciding whether or not yesterday's action was going to happen. The body language, is just as important as what, was said. So that said, another key reason would be the results, because they say wisdom is proven by her children. The results of the NLC under the immediate past leadership and this leadership, Jeffrey often cites, what the NLC was like in the past, where you had to, prepare for a protest, and practically the streets of Nigeria would be deserted when, NLC protested in the interest of the generality of Nigerians. Both the workforce, the official workforce and the non-official workforce, had a lot of preparation to do as far as protests were concerned, nationwide strikes were concerned, but that is not exactly the case. Yes, indeed, this protest has gone on. We don't see the fire. We don't see the passion. We don't see real agitation. For me, this is pretty much routine than, heartfelt, than coming wholeheartedly. And for good reason yet again, when you consider when the NLC at the beginning of this administration protested fuel subsidy, what happened to those key demands, I believe 26 of them from government, that NLC, wanted, to see, come alive, become reality for the Nigerian people, and one of which was the removal of fuel subsidy. Of course, even if there's a consensus of opinion that it was a necessary bitter pill that Nigeria had to swallow, such that the long-term transformation would be actualized, following temporary sacrifice. But what about the other demands? Visible on that list was also the refineries. So the refineries, becoming active and working in the interest of Nigerians. But have we seen that? But in fact, we have seen inconsistencies in the state of those refineries, according to what government officials have told us. The results of labor, as far as the fight for the interest of Nigerian workers, in the official and non-official in the private sectors is concerned, is not quite impressive. So I wonder how Nigerians are processing this. I'm sure that there will be a very interesting shade and perhaps shades of opinion that will color this particular protest, guys.
Well, the days will tell. We'll see if the government is listening and if labor also gets more bites, according to people. But a lot of people are describing another thing that played out yesterday as using one stone to kill two birds. Some have said it was inevitable. It was in the works already. It's just a mere coincidence. And I'm talking about the resignation of engineer Farouk of the NMDPRA. So that's the midstream and downstream authority, right? And then we also saw the resignation of the upstream commission, that's Zengbenga Komalafe, right, of the NUPRC. Again, let's reiterate, the drama we saw over the past few days was Dangote versus Farouk Ahmed of the NMDPRA. So when people saw that he had resigned, they said, oh, okay, maybe this makes sense, even though there's still an investigation which must go on under the ICPC. But then the NUPRC resignation also came through again, and people were thinking, wait a minute, what is going on? But hey, some of those things were already in the works, so it looks like a coincidence anyway, or using one stone to kill two birds. In any case, there's been nominations now for two people to take their place, but I think the generality of Nigerians are asking that investigation must go on.
Absolutely, Kadi. Investigations must go on, and even though we say that a man is innocent until proven guilty, but we cannot look at this independent of the circumstances surrounding shall we say, the resignation. Some would say this is not necessarily a resignation. This looks more like a forced to resign kind of situation, because the Yoruba proverb is very classic to describe what has happened here. The witch died yesterday, and the witch cried yesterday, and the child died today.
Don't ask
me who the witch is, by the way.
But don't forget, there's been that sort of shake-up in the oil, the NNPC, all those who are appointed by the former president.
I spoke to all of that yesterday.
So it looks like it was in the works already, like a process. This just happened and either sped it up or just became a coincidence.
Remember the allegations of a refinery in another part of the country that is being run, another part of the world that is allegedly being run by key officials, in some of the regulatory agencies, also made by the president of Dangote Refinery. So we're not looking at those issues independently. I'm talking about this round of allegations that Alhaji Dangote has made against the now resigned NMDPRA boss. We cannot look at this resignation independent of those allegations, even though we say that a person is innocent until proven guilty. The court of public opinion has a very, very damaging impact, or the perception of corruption itself is a big problem that we have to deal with itself. And so I'm saying this to say that we must not now see silence after this resignation. We must see a diligent prosecution. And we can cite past instances. The former Minister of Humanitarian Affairs who was suspended. Perhaps this is the time that we should be asking the FCC what has happened to those allegations made against the former Minister of Humanitarian Affairs. We can ask about, even the recent resignation of the Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation, who had serious allegations of forgery made against him. So are we just going to move on from this and not ask serious questions surrounding those circumstances? And this goes also to the anti-graft agency and, of course, the other relevant agency that probes issues of ethics around the conduct of public officials. When there's an uncomfortable silence, then they leave the public to run away with the belief or the idea that they're just tools to witch hunt public officials who have run against certain powerful interests. And so we demand accountability from the anti-graft agencies and, in fact, from the presidency as well. There are questions to ask. We could also ask why, of course, there's a healthy consensus that fuel subsidy is a scam, and yet there are no prosecutions. Those are the real issues surrounding this resignation, and we must not see an uncomfortable silence and memory loss on the part of the anti-graft agencies following this round of allegations. I don't know how you're processing this, Jeffrey.
You said it very well. There's nothing more to add. I just want to help you lower your expectations. Certain things will never come to light. This is Nigeria. You've listed a couple of them in recent time. I do not believe most of these guys resigned voluntarily. This was just a soft landing, so that because the allegations are hefty, there are certain things we can't say on television as well that has happened. And beyond all of that, let's also look at their performance. How well did they perform? Besides allegations of corruption and all of that, how well did Farouk Ahmed perform under his leadership as the boss of the NMDPRA? How well did Komalafe perform as the boss of NUPRC? That in itself leaves little to be desired. There has been infighting and all kinds of things. Look, there's a lot that goes on in the oil and gas sector when it comes to how this thing is played. Some are local, some are international, some are within the establishment. So it depends on who. So when you see people like that go as combative as he went, he knew what he was going for. And this was, it was inevitable eventually. So there was no way Ahmed Farouk would go there. Komalafe would not go at the end of the day, because they came together and there are other things that cannot be said that comes into play. But I think the most important thing for Nigeria is that, did this man really live above his means? How did he get the money? That's what we want to know. Whether we will be allowed to know that is a different matter altogether. Better I do. Till today, we do not know whether she stole or she did not steal. She's guilty or she's not guilty. Just went quiet. After suspension, we didn't hear anything anymore. So we can go on and on. So, Bukola, let's be hopeful that there will come a day in Nigeria when things like this happen. We see it through to the end. And so, okay, indeed, this man really did it or he did not do it. But trust me, from what we know and what we've seen, I just lower my expectation. We haven't gotten that kind of leadership that is so aggressive yet in Nigeria. I stand to be corrected. That aggressive kind of leadership that doesn't matter whose ox is God, doesn't matter who is going to vote for him or not, and go after anybody for the interest of the people. They are politicians.
So, expect the best, they say. No, expect the best, but sometimes prepare for the worst. It may happen,
Exactly.
it may not happen.
It may not happen, so I'm just helping Bukola
to balance it.
Farabale.
So yeah, it may swing both ways, but
I'm
let's tell
not
you.
unsettled, but the issues have to be addressed. But guys, it also bothers on the management of the ministry itself. Indeed. And this is where we must also say that the president is the Minister of Petroleum. So those questions should be asked of the president also about these allegations.
Very valid point.
Superintending officer of the Ministry of Petroleum. We could ask so many questions, but we're running out of time and we must address other issues.
We have asked a lot of those questions. And one other question that has been asked time and again is what is going on with Nigeria's Air Force crew that was stuck in Burkina Faso? There were rumors that they had been released some days ago, but apparently they had not been released. So it took Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Yusuf Tugar, to visit Burkina Faso. That's Ambassador Yusuf Tugar, visiting Burkina Faso, had a meeting with the leader of the nation, Captain Ibrahim Traore, and they considered avenues to deepen bilateral relations and all of that. So it's been reported that the Air Force officials and crew have been released. Yes, in fact, they took pictures afterwards. But the statement, which is credited to the Special Assistant on Media to the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Al-Qasim Abdulkadir, just basically spoke about how they said they will work together and amicably resolve the issue concerning the Nigeria Air Force pilots and crew. He didn't make mention of the release, but it's been reported that they have been released. We've also reached out to him to confirm if they're on their way to the country. We've not gotten a response, but we can tell you the Nigeria's minister visited, had a meeting with the leader, took pictures with Nigerian Air Force crew, and it's been said that they've been released. All
right, so let's tell you a lot to be discussed today. State of the nation, issues around the airlines, and what you've been dealing with there of airfare. But first, we have our guests ready, but let's bring you what the dailies are saying in just a moment. Stay with us.